Okay, thanks for coming to look at our work, which is on the effect of relative age difference on the educational outcomes of our children. So by relative age difference, I mean the youngest versus the oldest kid in the class. The accumulation of human capital throughout our educational journey has a very big impact on the value that we bring to the labour market, whether we get employed, how much money we get, and of course the household resources affects how successful we are in our relationships and our quality of life. Now all of this scaffolds right through from pre-birth all the way through how you bring up your children, what happens in early childhood education, and then what happens in kindy and lower school, middle school, high school, and all the way through university, and then through your lifetime learnings. And a lot of the things that have been looked at are in the areas of cognitive, how we think and learn, and non-cognitive, basically a lot of behavioural and emotional things. For those of you who are interested, during the early years, it's these non-cognitive things that are more important to the young people. So if you've got a child out there, the most important thing, particularly for boys, is behavioural management. Get them to behave, because if they're in the classroom and they're behaving, then they have a choice to engage with the teacher and learn. And this is what we want. Right? But we've got this problem, right? Not all of us are born on the same date. And of course, what educators have been doing is playing around with enrolment windows, and that's what we do here. But the other thing we do is we look at this relative age thing, which has already been done to death in the literature. So for those of you who don't know from economics, unless you've got something unique in your paper, you won't get published in the top economics journal. So why the hell are we doing this? Well, our contribution is methodological. My co-author, or our co-author, Frank Vella, is a member of the American Econometric Society. He's just been made an international fellow, a fellow of the International Econometric Society. And Frank knew all about the work at Catania when we started working on this in 2016. So I initially started doing what we call sharp RDDs, which is where we look at structural rate changes and what causes those in things. But Frank was right up to date on what's going on with Catania's work. So I think this is a lesson for young researchers, is try and connect with these people. Because these guys know what's going on, and they give you a competitive advantage. So hopefully we've got a competitive advantage with this, although it's not been easy going with the journals. So we use the Queensland Department of Education data, and we look at not only NAPLAN standardised tests, but key learning area testing of students in grades 3, 5 and 7. Just to give you an idea of what's going on here, and I'll show you the difference here between a sharp and a fuzzy RDD, is what we're just seeing here is this is the pre-reform in 2007, which introduced both prep and moving the enrolment window from a calendar year, January through December, it moved it to a fiscal year. So it moved enrolment in grade 1 back 6 months. So the oldest kids were born in the July of the previous year to their enrolment, and the youngest kids was the young fellow that was enrolled on that was born on the 30th of June in the year of their enrolment. So there's 1 year less a day difference between those young people. So you're going to be thinking in grade 1 with a 6-year-old person, this is 18% more time for cognitive and non-cognitive development. This is massive. So that's what we're looking at. The reason we're looking at both sharp and fuzzy RDD is because of this. What we see here is compliance with enrolling my child on time, right? The new legislation said you have to enrol your kids Whereas the prior to that, parents had a bit of discretion. So you can see here people who, parents who haven't enrolled their kids on time prior to the legislation which occurred here. And then after the legislation, there was almost perfect compliance. Have a guess why? The law will send you to jail if you don't put your kids on time, and there's massive fines. So they removed, they mandated, they dictated. But in terms of method choice, we've got a problem here. Normally what I would do is say these people from 2008 onwards were treated, these people prior those years were untreated. So what we've got is we've got takers and non-takers, but these people, these red shirters, what they call them in the United States, are what we call never takers. So these people who fall in the middle. So this is very hard to resolve with a sharp structural break analysis. What fuzzy RDD allows us to do is, you notice we're not looking at years, we're looking at days. And what we're doing is we're moving the window in around the age difference of the oldest and the youngest by a couple of days to find about where it fits properly. And that's Cattanio's contribution with his work. And thanks to Frank, we have results. So here on the left you can see a proxy test. Yep. And here on the right you can see that there is a significant difference. Now this is the same no matter what we look at. On the right you can see the structural breaks significant. So this age difference thing exists. But what I want you to do is just show you how bad this is. This work is not in the paper, but this is the government report that I did last year. Up here you can see the effect in grades 3, 5 and 7 for English from additional education arising from the introduction of prep. So that's the size of the effect from 0 to there. These effects here are the youngest and oldest. So this effect here is the oldest kid in the class. The effect of being older relative to a kid born in the middle of the year is almost twice as big as the contribution from doing an extra year of education. And it's the same, it's even bigger in grade 6, but here it dissipates around grade 10. So I suppose the question is, what do we do about it? A standardised education system here clearly has got a problem. If we solve the age difference and make everybody born on the same date, then it's a costless treatment and the kids won't have to do prep. But that's silly, right? So there you go. Thank you.